What's up everyone, this is Ed Talenti. How are you guys doing? So for today's video, I wanted to do another one of those like conversations. This is something that's been on my mind. It's a video that I wanted to make for a long time, and I think I'm finally ready. So the video is about how to produce with your brain first and how to use your brain to visualize what you're going to produce. But obviously I'm going to explain a lot more about that during the course of the video. I want to keep a really short intro. Just before we get into the video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell. I'm posting a lot of videos and I don't want you to miss any of them. So let's get into it. So the reason why I decided to talk about this is because it's been on my mind a lot, and it's something that I've been developing, that I've been thinking about quite a bit. As always with these conversations, I'm not so much trying to teach you something, but I'm trying to like bounce an idea off of you that hopefully will spark some ideas in your own head, and hopefully we can do some back and forth, some conversation. So this concept of using your brain first is something that I started thinking about when I was still like a session drummer and I was playing drums. Even when I was studying drums, I quickly started realizing that my brain was above my limbs. So my brain was capable of thinking things that my limbs weren't quite capable of doing yet. And bringing that over to production is something that I always carry with me, and I think it's something that's really important to understand and how to use your brain, how to use your imagination to create music that goes beyond your current capabilities. I'm gonna give you a quick example to explain to you what I mean. If I sit in front of a piano, I'm not a piano player. Like, I know how a piano works, and I know some basic things like chords and a little bit of like melodies, but I'm by no means a piano player. When I sit in front of a piano, there's just no way around it. I am limited with what I can do. So this is a very simple example of how a lot of the things that you hear in my music, I wouldn't necessarily be able to play them without like really practicing them and figuring out where to put my fingers. But nonetheless, they're in my music. Why are they in my music? Because I imagined them. Even if I couldn't play them, I thought about them first. Our brain has this beautiful thing embedded in it, which is called imagination, which allows us to think about things that don't exist in the physical world quite yet. And then we're able to process them, develop them, understand them, and then sometimes manifest them into the actual physical world. I can think of a chord in my head, I can think of a melody that I don't know how to play on the piano, but I can still imagine it, and it still exists in my head. And then I can sit on the piano, figure it out, and now I can also play it or also record it or add it to a beat. So I think it's really important to remember that our brain is always above our body. Let me try to give you a more practical example. When we're producing a track, and I'm sure this is something that anybody that's tried to do this has experienced in some way or form, we kind of hear something that's not there yet, right? Maybe you have like a drum loop, and on top of that drum loop you hear a melody, you hear an 808, you kind of like imagine almost like the final product. Or maybe you have a chord progression and in your head you're singing like cha cha cha, you're singing a beat. So you're imagining something that hasn't manifested yet, like it's not in the DAW, it doesn't exist, but in your head. So as a producer, I think it's key to start training this thing as if it was one of our other skills. Because usually we do it subconsciously, but I think it's really important to like consciously understand that that's something that we do and that we can do, and exploit it and use it as much as we can and train our brain to do that more and more. One thing that you can do to try and train that, and it's something that I used to do a lot, make a really simple drum beat. It can just be like literally the simplest drum beat you ever made, and then loop it and really force your brain, just close your eyes and force your brain to hear a finalized beat. Try to hear as many elements as you can. Try to hear a little melody. Try to hear some like chord progression. Try to hear a bass line. Try to hear as many elements as you can, all in your head. And then from there, try to break them down as if you were listening to somebody else's beat. Listen to it, understand it, and be like, okay, the melody is doing that. Figure it out on the piano, record it. The bass line is doing this. Figure out the bass line, put it down. Kind of like try to recreate, manifest the beat that was already in your head. This way you're going to train yourself to start doing that and to start really listening to your own brain. This is kind of like a key phrase that, you know, catches the concept of the whole video, is listen to yourself, listen to your own brain, because the music is in there and you just got to get it out. So to understand how to train that, to understand how to listen to that and how to manifest it, how to transcribe it from your own brain, it's really, really important. It's a process that helped me tremendously. Now, the example that I just gave you of having a drum loop and imagining a whole beat is something really macro, right? Like you're it's like a big project. But on a daily basis, when you're building your beats, really try to focus on like maybe just like a little melody, right? Sometimes people ask me like, how do you come up with melodies? 99% of the times is literally me listening to a loop that I made of like chords and drums and stuff, and just kind of like imagining a line and then singing it. I've even done it in a couple of videos. I like sing the line, figure out what it is, figure out the notes. I'm like, okay, and I find the note. I'm not a singer at all, but you can still do that. It doesn't matter. So think about it, sing it, transcribe it, and then record it. And that is the quickest way to get to a melody and the most organic process that you can possibly do. Another quick example that I can give you is with percussions. Sometimes I can't quite find like the perfect like percussion loop that I need for that particular part, but I have it in my head. Has it ever happened to you that you're like listening to like boom, cha, boom, boom, cha, and in your head you're like you hear a percussion and you can't find it. You're scrolling through loops, you're trying to build it with MIDI, you just can't figure it out. One thing that I started doing, and I do it like all the time, is I take a microphone, I record myself doing that. At that point I have an audio file with what I just did with my mouth, and I have transients, right? At that point I can just take a shaker, or I can take a hi-hat, or whatever the sound that could work is, and I can just line it up with the transients, and there you go. I usually have like the part pretty spot on because I just sang it and I just lined it up with my voice. And that's like a really, really fast way to get to exactly what's in your brain. So this is the concept that I wanted to share with you guys, and hopefully make you think about it and come up with some creative solutions. Because the beautiful thing about our brain is that it's the most unique thing we have. Like we all have Omnisphere, or a lot of us have Omnisphere, we all have Serum, we all have like maybe the same sample packs, like we all tend to have the same sounds, but our brains are different. So if you can really learn how to imagine a sound or imagine a part and then make it happen, then you're going to create something really unique. It definitely takes a lot of work and a lot of practicing and a lot of like self-listening and understanding, but I think there's something there. I think that it's something that has a lot of value, and it helps me tremendously on a daily basis when I'm trying to do something quick and with some quality. All right, thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you found some value in this. And as always with these conversations, like I said at the beginning, I'm not trying to teach you something, I'm just trying to share an idea. So I would love to bounce it off of you and get something back, like talk about it. I would love to talk in the comments, privately, it doesn't matter. I would love to discuss this topic and know what you think, know if you already do something like this, know if you do something different. Like I would love to just talk about this topic. So yeah, feel free to write something in the comments, and I will be more than happy to respond. Also, if you just want to hit me up to ask something else, or even about this, whatever it is, if you just want to say hi, write me on Instagram. That's the social media that I use the most. I'll put the thing down here, and just write me a DM and I'll respond as soon as I can. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. I'm posting a lot more videos about a lot of different things, so please hit that bell so you don't miss any of the videos. All right, guys, that's all for today. I'll see you next time, and as always, be positive, and positive things will happen.